Hey, BassGeek here, and I showed you this swim bait from Big Daddy Baits and the head that goes with it, and it was actually a hover rig way back before a hover rig ever got popular. Well, they got something new. Let me show you. That's right, geeks. This little swim bait and the head that goes along with it has been really killer for me over the past few years. If you stay to the end, I'll share with you that video talking about this little bait and how I like to rig it with the weight that goes inside of it. But today we're going to be talking about something different, and it's very much like this killer little swim bait, but we're talking about something extremely different today. So I've talked about this a lot. During the summertime, you want to upsize your baits, but a lot of times when it comes to the jig head minnows, there's not a good hook for them. Big Daddy Baits has fixed that with a little longer shank hook and a bigger bait. Now, Jacob Wheeler won an MLF event a few years back using a bigger bait on Chickamauga, but that's really not a new technique. We've been doing it for quite a while, and you really have to pay attention to the size of your shad. Everybody wants to use a little 3-inch, but if they're feeding on bigger shad, you better not be throwing a Vienna sausage out there. You better be throwing a steak. So what Big Daddy Baits have done is they've come out with another head and a bait, which is a play on the Swim Daddy bait that they have. This, appropriately named, is called the Spotlighter. So the Spotlighter is basically, and I'll show you a few different colors here, is basically their Swim Daddy with a straight tail. And this particular color is called Swamp Grass. This color, of course, it's white. They just call it Pure. These next two in the clear water are my go-to colors. This is Salt and Pepper. And this has to be my favorite color by far. This is Dirty Shad. Now, what I like about this is they've actually come out with some tungsten heads to go along with them. And one of the big keys is that the hook goes a little bit farther back in the bait because we're going to be using some bigger baits a lot of times during the summer. I think they make some bigger sizes in these heads too, but this is the Spotlighter, and this is one of my favorite sizes to throw during the summer because the bass tend to be, even in clear water, up a little more shallow. This is 1/8. Next up is 3/16, and you can really see the longer shank of the hook on this one. And don't hold me to this, but I'm almost positive that they do come in like a standard size hook and the longer shank hook also. And last but not least, of course, we got a 1/4 ounce. So now what I really like about this is you can see how high that sticks up. You can do a couple different things. You can go ahead, you can rig it straight through the middle. Turn it over, slide it up, and you can come. It does have a split belly, and you can come right out the back, and you're good to go. But you can rig this incognito. You can come up in to the bait, shove that head up in there, pop that eye out. Come right through the tail, make sure you're dead center, and there you have it, completely incognito. Now you do have to do this before you rig the bait up, but this is one of the things I love about the Spotlighter. Now to get it tied on, you want to grab that ball head and you want to just squeeze down, bring the line through, and we're just going to tie a Byzantine knot 5 to 6 times. Come through the knot at the top, moisten, and pull it down. Cut your tag in, and you are ready to go. So this is one of my favorite little jig head or Damiki Rig rods. This is a TFO Taction bass. It is a 7/4 medium. I like that because I can get a longer cast out here in this clear water. 1/4 to 3/4. Again, we're using an 1/8. It throws it just fine. This is an Akuma Chimera, I believe. That is K9 20-pound, and yes, it casts a mile. It is so thin, so slick. I don't have to put 10-pound test to get the distance. 20-pound test braid, in pink so I can see it better. And that is 8-pound test K9 Pro 100 100% fluoro. All right, let's go fishing. Now there's 2 or 3 different ways I like to fish this sort of setup, and you can fish it from the bank. You pond guys, as it gets hotter in the summer, this little bait right here, the whole Damiki Rig, throwing it out there, just letting it get dropped just out of sight and then shaking it on its way back, because a lot of you guys want to fish the bottom, but the problem is if there's not a lot of water movement, that water is going to create a thermocline, and those bass, that thermocline is going to push higher and higher in the water. They're going to be out there suspended, or they're going to be up around the bank somewhere. So this is a deadly little bait out there over deeper water. Those bass love to just sit out there and suspend over it. So you can get out there and throw this and just shake it back to you, even without forward facing sonar, and catch you a big and bunch of bass this year. Now there's 2 different ways you can do this, really 3. You can even let this sink to the bottom and just kind of hop it off the bottom like a dying shad. You can scope it, which means you can cast it out there, and really the retrieve everywhere is going to be the same. You're going to cast it out there, you're going to let it fall, and then you're just going to start shaking. Now depending on what the bass want, it's going to be a little shake, it's going to be no shake, or it's going to be a lot of shake. So let the bass tell you what they want. Same sort of thing when I'm fishing the banks, like you see behind us here. I'm going to throw it up to the bank, and I'm going to let it pendulum back, and I'm going to let it shake a little bit. Remember, if you're trying to contour the bottom, you do want this bait to touch bottom every once in a while, but not all the time. So again, if it's on the bottom constantly, you're reeling too slow. If you never touch the bottom, you're reeling too fast. Slow down. Now 90% of the time, if I've got a spinning rod in my hand and a single hook bait, I'm going to set straight up. I'm going to reel down and keep that fish from jumping and throwing that little hook. And then I'm just going to fight him, make sure your drag's right. Yeah, you'll see me back reel a lot. I'm old school. Back in the day, before the wheel, and we had, tin cans and cane poles, we would just feed it line. So I'm used to back reeling. I don't trust drag that much. I know how to fight a fish and back reel one. I don't suggest doing that for you younger cats out there. Now this is something, I'm using lighter line. I definitely don't recommend boat hopping. I know I'm crazy, I do it sometimes. But get down there, put a thumb to his mouth or get the net out and land that bass. Get out there and try this. Don't forget to check out the videos at the end of this so that you can see the incognito and the swim daddy. Trust me, that's a cool little swim bait. And of course, there'll be links in the description. Hey, make sure you check out that video on the swim daddy, 100% Watch Squad. Love you guys. You make the channel go around. Like it if you like it. And you geeks rock.